Hello everyone and welcome to Sue Shrimp Breeders. This intro might be just a little bit louder than usual, and that's because I installed a brand new air pump. And since I did that, I thought it'd be a really good time to go over what I like to use in my shrimp tanks and my filtration. Sponge filters are my top filtration method in all of my shrimp tanks. The one you see here is a dual sponge filter. These are the ones that you'll probably see the most in most other shrimp tanks. People like these, and I like them because when you go to clean these out, when they need to be squeezed out and they get full of gunk, is you can just pull one of them off, squeeze it out, and leave the other one on there, so that way you never will lose your cycle in that aquarium. If you squeeze out too much at one time, there is a possibility that you can put your tank into a recycle, and that's definitely what you don't want to do in shrimp tanks. The other kinds of sponge filters I like to use are these larger ones. You can pick these up off of Amazon or eBay. There's a bunch of different kinds. This one happens to be a Hydro series. This one is a Hydro 5. I also like to use the Hydro 4s, but the only reason why I like using this type of sponge filter over the duals is my tanks are quite large. This one is a 33 gallon. And I noticed that if I was to use the dual sponge filters, I would need probably 4 to 6 of those in this tank, where I can get away with just using a couple of the Hydro 5s. It saves me a little bit of money, and it also it does virtually the same thing. It's just that these sponge filters are much larger than the other ones. When I was buying the cheaper sponge filters off of Amazon and eBay, they all basically looked like this here. What the difference is between this and the Hydro series is that the pores on the sponge are much bigger on this sponge filter. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just noticed that it doesn't pick up quite all of the debris that the finer pores on the sponge filter can do. I happen to like this sponge filter over the one I just showed you, just because the pores on the sponge filter are more dense than the other one. I will notice when I'm observing my tanks that my babies and my adult shrimp also like to graze on this a little bit more than the other one. I'm almost thinking that it's just because it's a better collector for the biofilm that shrimp just like to eat. One of my favorite ways to filter my shrimp tanks is a combined hang-on back filter. This one is a AquaClear 30, and I'll attach a sponge filter over the intake. What this does is it gives me more surface area for my shrimp to graze on, and a lot more surface area for biofilm to collect on. It also gives me the flow of a hang-on back filter, which I like. I like a little bit of flow in my shrimp tanks. When it comes to my hang-on back filters, I use something called polyfill or filter floss, and here it's just called classic fiberfill. I got this at Michael's for about 10 bucks in Canada. It's super cheap, and this bag here lasts me about a year for what I use it for. And what I use it for is I will take the old cartridges that used to cost me, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to where I wanted to save money on them, because I think it was about 5 or 6 bucks per pack. But what I do is I'll take the old media out of it, which has the carbon inside of it, and I'll just start shoving my fiber behind the filter. I've been doing this for quite a few years, and it saved me a lot of money. But one of the things you want to look out for when buying this is make sure that it's 100% polyester. You don't want to get the ones that have the antibacterial or antifungal properties in them, because that's the ones that will basically kill your cycle and probably kill everything in your tank. So when you're buying this, just make sure that it's 100% polyester. Some of the cool features that this stuff provides is it's so compact that it makes my water crystal clear. It's really good for when you first set up a tank and you have all that debris and it's all cloudy If you shove a bunch of this stuff in your filter, it'll clear it up pretty quick. Another thing that I love about it is when you want to set up a new tank, like I'm always setting up new tanks, what I'll do is I'll pull a chunk out that's all nice and gunked up with all that beneficial bacteria in it, and I'll just shove it inside of a brand new filter. And what that does is it basically gives me almost an instant cycle in my new aquarium. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and cheers.